Looking to manage Tottenham Hotspur in Football Manager 2020 and have absolutely no idea where to start? Well, this is exactly the content for you. Hello there everyone, it is Toby from TIJ Gaming and welcome to my team guide on Football Manager 2020, or FM20, for Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs, of course. Now, this year is a big year for Tottenham. They've just moved to their new stadium. Of course, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, very flashy, replaces White Hart Lane. But Tottenham are under some pressure in real life. They've not started the best. Pochettino's under pressure, but no doubt as much pressure as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as I record this. But we're going to have a look today at some various bits in a 10-15 minute video. And I hope I can help you guys to manage Tottenham Hotspur if you are stuck at all. Now, one of the big features in this game is the club vision. And that is what we're going to look at first to make sure that you guys are managing Tottenham correctly and have your priorities right. So we've got a club culture. We've got quite a few things here, actually. A lot more than I've seen in any of my other team guides I've done so far. So just quickly run through them. Develop players using the club's youth system. That's the only one that's required out of there. And that is something that's going to be fairly easy to do. You've got a very good youth system at Tottenham Hotspur. If you look at the under-23 squad, it's not actually how I'd like it. We're going to reports. There's a lot of players with very, very, very good potential, so you shouldn't have much problem doing that. A few bugbears that maybe the chairman's got and things that he wants to make sure you do. Play possession, attacking and entertaining football. Those three really come together, don't they? And with the tactic I'm using, I think we do tick that off, and I'll show you the tactic a little bit later. And then two things. Sign players under the age of 22 for the future. That's interesting. And do not sign players over the age of 30. But of course, that's only preferred because in terms of a 1 to 4 importance, it's 3 out of 4. So the board are going to be pretty cheesed off if you sign too many players over 30. But at the same time, if they're going to be good for the squad, like an older, I don't know, somebody like Mandzukic perhaps, who I recommend for Manchester United, I don't think the board would be too fussed about that. And now, as well, a 2 out of 4 preferred is to sign homegrown players that are English. I think that's fair enough. So let's have a look at the 5-year plan then. So an ongoing requirement is to work within the wage budget, which is pretty much the same at every club. And the club doesn't want older players, basically. It's interesting to see this from Tottenham, with maximum 2-year contracts for players over the age of 30. So the end of the current season in terms of the league and all of the different competitions. You've got to qualify for the Champions League in the Premier League, which actually isn't too bad. You've got to finish in the top 4, so that's not too bad. And then reach the quarter-final of the Champions League and reach the final of the FA Cup. Bear in mind that the Premier and Champions League objectives are required, but the FA Cup and the AFL Cup are 1 out of 4 and 2 out of 4. So not so important, so I'd definitely focus on those two big competitions this year. And then we're looking for basically challenging towards the Premier League and the Champions League next year, and required to challenge for the Premier League title in 2 years' time. And that is a requirement. So that's going to be quite important to make sure that they have a good challenge for the league title, not necessarily win it, and that's the continuing theme really. Maintain a Premier League title challenge, not necessarily win the league, but be up there and thereabouts. I think that's fair enough for Tottenham to do. So just a bit of an overview of what Tottenham have done in terms of their transfers then this season. Of course, last year it was pretty famous. They didn't spend any money. But this year they've spent a fair amount of money on 1 or 2 players. We're going to have a quick look through now. But first, have a quick look at the outs. Kieran Trippier is their big departure. He's gone to Atletico Madrid for £20 million. And right back is a position that maybe we might need a replacement. Vincent Janssen's also gone, as well as a few other youngsters, but nobody that will really massively change the squad. But a few signings that they have made, and Ndombele is the big signing for Spurs, the 22-year-old midfielder. He cost £54 million for Tottenham. Looks a very good player and has ability to improve in the future. Already a 3-star player at the age of 22 and potential to be, as it says here, leading Premier League central midfielder in the future. And really important for Tottenham, because if you look at those central midfielders, okay, you've got Sissoko and Eriksen. I'm not convinced about Harry Winks, specifically in real life. And Ndombele brings that bit of youth and excitement to that Tottenham team. They've also brought in Ryan Sessegnon, who could play pretty much anywhere across the left as a left back, a left midfielder and a left winger. And he's going to be one for the future. Again, developing players through the youth system. And this is the kind of player I think the board would like you to sign. That would fulfil their objective there. Jack Clark's also come in from Leeds at the age of 18. But again, he's one that you're going to have to nurture and develop over a long period of time. So let's have a look at the tactic then I've decided to use for Tottenham. I've gone with a 4-2-3-1. It really represents the best players in the team. As you can see, we've got Lloris in goal, we've got Walker, Peters, Sanchez, Alderweireld and Sessegnon at the back. You can put Danny Rose or Ben Davies in there. The reason I've put Sessegnon in there is just to give him a try, really. I thought, you know, Sessegnon is the new signing, let's see how he gets on. I think that might be a good thing for you to do, because there are a lot of players in this team, and depending on who you prefer, ultimately it will depend on who you play. But what I'm trying to say is that I think rotation early on is going to be important to find out what your starter 11 over the game is going to be. But something I definitely keep the same is Eriksen and Ndombele in the middle. Very solid central midfield partnership there. Ndombele is a deep line playmaker on support, and Eriksen a little bit further forward. He's probably best as an advanced playmaker. Then your wingers, you've got Lucas Moura and Son Heung-min as supporting roles to the striker Harry Kane, and also Dele Alli as a centre attacking midfielder. I did try Dele Alli at centre mid, because Eriksen's best position is centre attacking midfield, but for the sake of compromise, because Eriksen is much more coherent as a central midfielder, I thought we'll put Ali at CAM, or CAM, I suppose, and Eriksen can play a lot better in centre mid. But we've got a few players on the bench, the likes of Harry Winks I was talking about earlier, Eric Lamela, Eric Dyer and Moussa Sissoko, who could be all very good candidates to play for the team. But of course, we've got a few players injured at the start. Dele Alli is one of those, but even though I've put him in the team just for an example, you won't be able to use him for 2 or 3 months. And we've got a few other players that are out. We've got Serge Aurier, who will return for the start of the season. He's probably going to be the player you probably pick from the roster to go on that right back position. But Walker Peters is a good player and will continue to improve. As you can see, Walker Peters, I think he's still very young at the age of 22. I actually thought he was younger than that. But still a decent player. Not the best right back in the world, but Serge Aurier certainly isn't bad either. But probably I'd start to nurture Walker Peters into that position. So next up, we're going to have a quick look at the dynamics, which players to really keep happy. And no surprise, we've got Hugo Lloris, Harry Kane and Jan Vertonghen, the 3 team leaders. We've got the captain Lloris, the vice-captain Harry Kane, and Jan Vertonghen, a very influential player at the back, alongside his centre-back partner Toby Alderweireld, who is 30 years old. And it's no secret that the centre-backs are aging at Tottenham. That's one of the problems they have got. However, we have got a few centre-backs that are coming in to replace them. So we've got Davinson Sanchez, who of course came in a few years ago. He's already been at Tottenham 3 years. That doesn't seem like it has been 3 years, but 37 million. This is his 3rd year at Tottenham. Again, a very solid player in the future. You've got Eric Dyer, but there's a few other youth players I wanted to have a quick look at. Of course, Lo Celso, he can't play there. I don't know why he's come. I think he's because he's a defensive midfielder. But if a quick look at squad depth in terms of the centre-back position, we have some very solid centre-backs coming through. Juan Foyth, he looks good. Only 21 years of age. He will improve. He's a breakthrough prospect once again. So what I'm trying to say really is that the centre-back problem isn't as bad as it looks, because we've got Eric Dyer and I keep calling him Savinson, but Davinson, Sanchez and Dyer that can play there as well as the younger player Juan Foyth. So I don't really think there's much need to bring in a new centre-back. But back to dynamics anyway. Yeah, those are the 3 players to keep very happy. Kane and Lloris you won't have a problem with. Again, Lloris, unless you bring in somebody big, is going to be the goalkeeper, and Harry Kane, again, the lone striker. So no problems there. But as with most teams, you know, you have it with Liverpool with Milner being one of the team leaders. You've got it with a lot of teams, but Liverpool with Milner is the one example I can think of off the top of my head. That you're going to have a player who is going to retire in the future. And basically, the only way that you're going to sort that out with Vertonghen is maybe to promote one of these players to a team leader. Perhaps a Dele Alli, perhaps a Christian Eriksen. But we just need to make sure that Jan Vertonghen, his departure in the next few years, is handled smoothly. Luckily, Vertonghen's not in the main social group, but those 6 players are all crucial players to the team. So we want to make sure that we keep that contingent of players very happy. Now, I'd usually do some transfer suggestions, but to be quite honest, as I look at this Tottenham squad, I've got no suggestions for who you can bring in. It's a very solid squad, plenty of depth, and the most important thing is as well that there are youth players that are coming in. And obviously with the club vision to develop those players, I think that would be the right thing to do. But if you are going to sign some players, maybe some English players, maybe some players under the age of 22, your scouts will regularly come through with players that will be under that age and that you can look at. I think from memory, if I remember how to do this correctly, if we go to the Director of Football, you can actually suggest targets for any position. But actually it's Daniel Levy who will do that. That's interesting, but because we probably haven't got a Director of Football. But I forgot how we do this now. If we look at suggest transfer targets, look at a position, for example, it will give you transfer targets. But as you can see, all those are under the age of 30. We've got the young player there, Mikel, whatever his name is, but that's just an example of what you can get your director of football or Daniel Levy to suggest. And as you can see, you've got a lot of players here. Again, Gabriel Jesus, he's not going to come to Tottenham, believe me, but that's the kind of player we're looking at the age of 22 or under. Just a quick look then before we finish at the development centre, which is going to be an important screen, particularly with the objectives you've got at Tottenham. And you've got the ones to watch screen. You've got Troy Parrott, only 17 at the moment, but could become a very, very good player. Oliver Skipp, defensive midfielder and central midfielder, who could become a very good player. You get the picture. That will change over time, and it's important to make sure that you keep those youngsters happy. But that's really it then, folks, for what I've got to say about Tottenham. If you've got any more thoughts, leave them down in the comments. But that, in a short space of time, in as little time as I've possibly got, is as much of a detailed look at the Tottenham squad and what you can do with it to improve. If you have enjoyed that and found it beneficial, make sure to leave a like down below and comment your thoughts as well. And subscribe for daily FM20 content on the beta. Make sure to check out my other FM20 content, including the other team guides for all the Premier League teams, as well as my beta save with Liverpool that is ongoing at the moment. But apart from that, thank you very much for your company, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye for now.